We are at a crossroads in the Middle East. I've listened to distinguished panels here at this conference. I also heard that we have a rare opportunity in the Middle East. I'm an optimist by nature, so today, in spite of the fact that so many people in the Middle East are suffering on all sides, I chose to speak about the opportunity. Over the past 2 decades, I made more trips to the Middle East than I care to count. I met with heads of states and politicians. I've also met with ordinary people, shopkeepers, students, people from all parts of society. In some countries, I see hope for a better future. But in other parts of the region, many young people have little hope for jobs and a better future. And they have no chance to live a normal life and work and raise a family. These are exactly the young people that terrorist organizations like Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah are recruiting. When young people have no future, the twisted script of terror can give purpose to their lives. If this dangerous dynamic is not changed right now, we will lose the window of opportunity to create a Middle East with greater possibilities for peace. After all the conversations I've had with everyone, I've come to a conclusion. I want to propose 2 ideas. First, I propose a Marshall Plan for the Middle East. As all of you know, this continent, this city of Munich, lay in ruin after World War II. And it was America's Marshall Plan that didn't just rebuild Western Europe. It gave hope to young people with jobs and a chance for a better life. The Marshall Plan reset Western Europe on its course to economic success and freedom. But this was never preordained. After 2 catastrophic world wars, few people thought Europe could ever live in peace and prosperity. The Marshall Plan allowed this to happen. A new Marshall Plan for the Middle East would be directed towards young people who make up the vast majority of the populations of these countries. I would offer a better education for young people and the possibility of having real jobs when they graduate. The U.S. could once again start this process and put in the seed money, but larger investments could come from Saudi Arabia and other Gulf countries in the region. It would be monitored closely to see which parts work and which did not. All funds would have to be completely transparent, so money would not go to building more tunnels or wind up in Swiss accounts. The indoctrination of hate from kindergarten through college would end. The old textbooks would be thrown away. Of course, many people have already been indoctrinated, choosing hatred over a normal life. But with this plan, youngsters would bring this new vision of the Middle East home to their parents. The parents will learn it from their children. I saw this in schools I started in Eastern Europe after the fall of the Soviet Union, and it worked. Business education would be emphasized, along with a promise of what can come from all different initiatives. Let me ask, why are young people in some countries excited about starting tech businesses and becoming doctors and scientists? It comes from opportunities that don't exist now. And that's why this Marshall Plan would accomplish, along with a job creation program. In this new Marshall Plan, there would be seed money for young people to start new businesses. The more ideas, the more innovative, the better. Do not dismiss this. Do not think it's impossible just because of the Middle East past. Let me remind you, right here in Munich, this country went from Hitler Youth indoctrination to teaching democracy and commerce in just 3 short years. We forgot how quickly that transition took place. There's absolutely no reason this can happen in the Middle East. At the same time, as a new Marshall Plan, I'm also promoting a new NATO for the region. Call it MEDO, the Middle East Treaty Organization, or call it whatever you want. Iran has created its own axis of evil, funding Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, and others. Even if they were defeated, there will always be destructive forces to take their place. The new NATO will be the counterbalance to Iran's axis, with Israel, Egypt, and Morocco, along with Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, UAE, and Jordan, and many others. MEDO would take the Abraham Accords to an entirely new level, the level of mutual cooperation, mutual economic ties, and mutual defense. Israel should not be the only army fighting these radical forces, since everyone in the region, Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the Gulf states, are threatened in the same way. MEDO would stand up to any threats from the Muslim Brotherhood of Iran or anyone else. Once again, the idea of an Israeli army working alongside Arab armies seems far-fetched. But remember, in 1945, whoever could have foreseen German soldiers standing with British and American soldiers? But it happened, and NATO has been a success for 75 years and counting. Here, there is one more element to this huge shift that we were witnessing right now. It comes from my country, and it should not be ignored. You may have heard there's a new president of the United States, and it's clear that he is open to all new and innovative ideas. I believe in my heart that we could see a new Middle East, a powerful, dynamic Middle East. Most important of all, a Middle East working not against each other, but with each other for a better future. Finally, just 3 weeks ago, I stood at the gates of Auschwitz for the 80th anniversary of the liberation. I was joined by world leaders of more than 50 countries, countries that lost millions of their citizens in the last war. And I quoted a survivor who is no longer with us, who stood there where I stood 10 years earlier. Roman Ken said these words. He said words that I will always remember. He said, "I don't want my past to be my children's future." Well, I don't want the Middle East's past to be the future of the next generation, and I guarantee you no one here wants it. I've always thought of myself as a bridge builder, but I would like to say there are some bridge builders before me that I tip my hat to. Anwar Sadat, King Hussein of Jordan, Shimon Peres, Yitzhak Rabin, and Saeb Erekat. I do this in their memory. Thank you.